Let me give it a second, guys. Hey, my loves. What's going on, gang, gang? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? I am back from my trip. I actually got back Sunday, but I was all fucked up. Actually, I'm kind of sick, okay? Thank you for the heart me. I'm kind of under the weather. But I want to have a chat with you guys because I was actually watching another creator last night. She was doing a live. I wish I could remember her name. She's an astrologist, a young lady. I absolutely adore her. And she was just talking about, you know, some transits and shit. And she said something that clicked in my mind. So she was saying, you know, she was talking about the Jupiter in Taurus transit, okay? And she was asking the collective, right, to examine what else they had in the chart. And I wrote in the chat, you know, my Saturn is in my first house of Taurus. So Jupiter being there feels like Zaddy and Daddy are fighting. And everybody in the chat started laughing, right? And that gave me an awakening. And I want to cover some things that you guys can use, right? Because I have a lot of knowledge about astrology, but it's not my guiding force. So in other words, like I kind of do it backwards. It's through spirit. A spirit tells me what the energy is going to be. And then I look at the chart and say, why is that? You get it? So I'm doing it reverse. I'm doing it from spirit way, right? So I want to give you guys some indicators on how you can use that formula for yourselves. Hi, honey. So I want to explain to you. Okay. Let's say you're a Scorpio. Let's say that you have, and that's your sun sign. And you're a sun Scorpio, but in that natural house of where your sun sits of Scorpio, Uranus is there. Oh, thank you, honey. So Uranus is there, right? Then that means that for your sun sign to be like fully activated, it's going to be on the back of some change. You got to look at what Uranus means, right? So I made this myself a few years ago to assist in teaching people about how to understand their transit, right? So let's look at Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius, right here. And what does it say, right? It rules networking, change, right? So through networking, through some form of change, your sun sign will be activated if that was in your normal house. So I am a Taurus sun sign, but rising as well, right? You should look at what is next to your sun sign, what is next to your ascendant sign, and what is next to your moon sign. And also, I hope you guys are like gonna remember this shit because this is important. And what's in the house with your north node. Why? Because these are the most important aspects of yourself, right? So let's say your Venus is in Aries, like mine is. Well, that already is going to be like an uncomfortable position for Venus because Aries is ruled by Mars. But in my case, it's in the 12th house, meaning that's Pisces' natural house, which is exalted for Venus. So part of it is exalted and the other half sucks because Mars, you know, rules Aries. So this also means that I fight for love like an Aries. Are you getting? I want to answer any questions, not tarot questions. Okay? any questions that you have about what I'm trying to say to you guys. Okay, so remember, your sun sign rules your who you are. Okay, your ascendant sign rules how people receive you when they first meet you, how you appear from the outside. Your moon sign is how you feel about your experience. Your Venus sign is how you love. And your Mars sign is how you fight for the shit that you feel is important to you. Your North Node is who you're supposed to be embodying, right? So we need to look at our sun, and you could look at the surrounding houses, but like any of the sun, moon, Venus, any of those things are there also. Like if you're a sun Aries, what else is in that house? What else is in that house, right? You follow what I'm saying? So if in your sun Aries house, Jupiter is there, right? Jupiter rules wisdom, knowledge, luck, but yes, knowledge, right? Expansion of knowledge. So that's going to indicate that at some point, once you mature, you're going to get some wisdom that is going to make you advance, right? So it's like saying you need the other two pieces or the other piece, whatever is in that house with your sun or your Venus or whatever, that secondary thing or that third thing, because you might have three things in a house, right? You need aspects of that to activate. Okay? Is that making sense? So even though it could be your Venus sign in that house, there may be two other things, right? So let's say your Venus sign is in that house, but Saturn is there. So you're going to have some issues in love, right? Some realizations, some hard lessons, some things about structure, maybe playing by the rules. And then once you learn those lessons and you've completed that with Saturn, that's when the love area will blossom. Do you understand? So Aries and Mars is an exalted, right? Because Aries is ruled by Mars. But you also need to see in what house does that fall in your chart. Because you could be a sun Aries, right? A sun Aries, outside ring, right? But your ascendant could be a Cancer. Meaning it would be Aries in the third house, and that's ruled by the moon. Is Aries going to be comfortable there? Not as much. Right, Pisces is ruled by Neptune, but Pisces, Venus loves Pisces. Okay? It's like the daughter they never had or whatever, right? Venus would take her under her wing, Pisces, because she's all water and emotion, right? So it's not just what sign, but where is it, right? So I'm going to give you another idea. Jupiter is going to go into Aries. Into Gemini, I think in March or April, right? Where is that in your chart? Right? So Jupiter is in Geminis for you, right? Let's say you have that placement, Jupiter in Gemini, and you're like, well, this shit is going to be lit. But what houses does it fall into? Okay? What house does it fall into? Because let's say if it falls into like the seventh house, which is Jupiter rules that house, then yes, it's going to be blessings on blessings on blessings, right? But let's say it fell in Taurus, right? Where it is right now. This could push you to want things that are beautiful, because that's what Taurus rules. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're wise purchases, or like it could be very surface. So you need to see what house it rules, right? Or give you another example. Let's say that the Jupiter is in Gemini, but it's in the 8th house, which rules taxes and other people's money. Well, that might mean that you might get a blessing from somebody else through somebody else, a spouse or something like that. Or conversely, if that person is doing unwise decisions, because Jupiter rules wisdom, then you could take a financial hit because of somebody else's choices. Okay, so the problem is that when we see our birth charts, it just looks like colors. You have to understand there's a meaning for each house and there's a meaning for each planet. So you have to take the planet and the house that it's in to see what area it's going to affect. Okay? Right, so 12th house is hidden things. Okay? Hidden things, things you don't see, things that other can't see, things that you want to keep private, right? So you will fight, in essence, to keep private. Okay? You may even fight against yourself in recognizing things that need to be brought to the forefront. You understand? Because sometimes those hidden things are things we can't see about ourselves. Right? So it's not just the planet itself. You need to look at where it is. And that's going to tell you what area is going to be affected. Does that make sense? Okay, so in other words, my Saturn is in Taurus, and let's say your Saturn is in Taurus, but your house could be, mine's is the 1st house, your house could be the 10th house. 10th house is hitting career. 1st house itself, right? So you would have, if it was in the 10th house, right? It's saying that you're going to have to learn some wisdom, and once you get that wisdom, your career would take off, right? In the 1st house, it's saying you're going to have to learn some things about yourself. Okay? Right. So we all have our planet, and then the 12th house is right. So each house has a definition that it rules, and it also has a natural ruler. Okay? So for instance, and I want to use one that's simple because I don't want to confuse, because some of the signs, some of the planets own, they own more than one sign. So let's stick to one that only rules one. Let's use Leo. Okay? Let's use Leo. Leo's ruled by the sun. Simple, it's the only planet ruled by the sun. Right? So let's say you're a Leo. Right? But you're Cancer rising. Right? You're a Leo. I'm doing the chart so you guys could see, and I wish that I had it closer for you guys to look at. Okay, you're a Leo, sun, Cancer rising, 1st house. Right? But this house is Aries house. So already you're going to be displaying some Aries fucking tendencies. Okay? All right? Now, Leo rules dating and friends, but that's going to be in the house of self. Right? So you could be quite popular in an Aries way, but people may not really know the real you because Cancer is emotional, more secretive, hides those things to itself. Do you understand? So you see how, and then that would mean that because you're a Cancer rising, your Leo sun would be in the 5th house in the 2nd house, which would be Gemini, Taurus's house, but it's giving you Virgo energy. You understand? You guys, I'm going to start selling these because I feel like this would assist you guys so you could spin the chart and visually see. Oh, so I'm a Taurus that could have come off as a Gemini, right? And it's fucked up because it's in Aries house. So you get what I'm saying? It's not in the natural house. So you got to look at what that house rules. That's the area that's going to be affected. I want you to be able to do that with the transits that occur. So if you have a transit, right? If you have a transit that is coming up, right? Using the example of what I said to you guys about Gemini, you know, about Jupiter going in the next couple of months is going to be moving into Gemini. As a collective, we're all going to feel that. But if you want to know how it hits you, where's Gemini and where's Jupiter in your chart? And those are the two, good morning, Cousin B, and those are the two houses that are going to be affected. You follow? It doesn't have to be overwhelming, okay? It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Even if you, let's say you didn't have my chart. Okay, this would make it easier, but let's say you didn't have my chart, right? You could say, okay, you could go to Google and be like, what is the 8th house meaning in the zodiac chart? Because yours is in the 8th house, right? And then you're going to say, okay, well, where's my Jupiter is in the 2nd house. So what is that correlate to the 8th house, right? So the 2nd house is Taurus. Now, why Jupiter in Taurus is not a terrible placement, okay? Reason why is because Jupiter favors Venus like a daughter, okay? But it's very placating. Oh, daughter, you want that fancy bag, or you want all that shit from TikTok, or you want, you know, things you don't even need. They're superficial, right? Oh, I got, you know, and I can say that shit because I'm gonna use you an example. When did TikTok shop blow up? During the Jupiter in Taurus transit, right? What do you see? You'll see a woman basically saying, I found these leggings for $6.99, so I got them in all the colors. Because it was $6.99. This will be on YouTube, right? So it's $6.99, right? It's actually on YouTube right now, right? But think about it. Did you need the leggings in every color? That's some very Taurus, Venus, Jupiter let you do it because he's your daddy. You get what I'm saying? So when I commented in that lady's live talking about my natal Saturn is in the 1st house where Taurus sits for me, okay? And then now Jupiter in this time period is in my natal 1st house. So who's in charge? Saturn, who's my natural, you know, he's always been there, or Jupiter, right? So it feels to me as a Taurus who's experiencing that transit that Zaddy and Daddy are fighting, because Daddy wants me to learn lessons, Saturn, about what I need to be my best self, 1st house. And Jupiter's like, my Venus daughter, you want that purse? Go get it. You want that, you see? So you see how the two energies sometimes can work against each other? Sometimes they might work in favor of each other. But if you knew what was happening, good morning, Maritza, you would be able to discern, like, okay, you know, it reminds me of, you take the good, to take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. Remember that old show, right? That's what your chart is. It's telling you this is the good, this is the bad, this is how you navigate. This is how you can use transits that are about to occur, right? And kind of foretell. You won't see everything, but you could foretell the area, right? So like when I said to you, if your Gemini If the Gemini lands in your 8th house, which is taxes and other people's money, and Jupiter goes in there, either you're going to get blessed through somebody else or some type of contract or some type of partnership or through your taxes, or conversely, if you have not put in the work, if you have not, you know, done what you needed to do, you're going to hit a wall in that area. So that gives you an ability to like look in and say, what are the possibilities of the things that can be affected with this transit coming up? Is that understood? Especially if you have planets in that house, because they are there in your birth chart, always giving you instruction. It's there because there's an aspect that you have to do to complete or to level up, right? So if Jupiter is in Taurus and you, like me, you have Saturn there, then Saturn's saying you could get that blessing from Jupiter, but did you do your homework? Because then I'll let you get the blessing. Does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? So let's take some questions. Let's say, tell me your sign, your sun sign, and the house that it's in. Okay, because a lot of times people will read you your chart, but they're not explaining to you what it means. And I'm not an astrologer. Like I fucking told you, like I do it the opposite way. Spirit tells me and then I figure out why. And it's been like that since I was younger. So a Sun Gemini in the 3rd house So does that make you a Taurus rising? No. An Aries rising? Aries, right. Okay, so you're an Aries rising. So when people meet you, they don't meet the Gemini in you. They meet the Aries in you first. They feel like you are confident and that you speak your mind, right? Now, Gemini being in the 3rd house, Gemini being in the 3rd house, which is naturally the house of Gemini, your communication will be excellent because that is its natural house. So you're one of the rare people that your chart, your ascendant sign is in Aries. So meaning the 12 houses are in their position. Does that make sense to you? Yes, most of the signs are in the correct chart. Hey, Jaylee, you understand? Now, for someone else, that could be in the 8th house. Gemini, moon, and rising. Okay, so let's use Raven for a minute. Raven, you said you're a Taurus with a Gemini rising. So you're a 12th house baby. Okay? Your sun is in the 12th house like mine is. Okay? So your chart would look like this. Right? That's what you said, right? Let me make sure I read it right. I'm going to take one at a time, guys, because it'll get confusing. Let me just check, okay? I'm a Taurus sun, Gemini moon and rising. Correct. Okay. So, like I said, your Gemini is your first house, but you're a Taurus sun. So that's a 12th house energy. Okay? So what happens there? As a Taurus 12th house, there may be aspects about yourself. Right, you said Gemini rising as well. There may be aspects about yourself that you don't see. People could feel like you put a lot of importance on external things. You also, because that's the natural house of Pisces, which is a very watery house, you may feel things deeply. Okay? Now your Mercury, your Gemini being in the first house, Gemini has a thing of like, you know, a duality, right? So some people, being that you're a rising, remember that your rising sign is who people meet when they meet you. They could be like, yo, that Taurus, Gemini rising, they come off mad two-faced. Or they could say they come off very quick, like they process information quickly, because Gemini does that too, right? And it's not that Gemini is being two-faced. It's that Gemini sees the duality and they know how to apply it, right? But it's your rising sign, so that's who the people meet. So they're going to be like, Taurus is giving both sides of the argument. But they're not realizing that you have a mercurial energy that helps you quickly be able to pick up the information. Okay, so am I helping you to understand why things are coming off across the way they are? Because I felt like when I was watching this lady's video yesterday, she was talking about the transit, but what it did for me was open my mind as to how best to explain to you guys. Yeah, Geminis are the twins. How to best, because like fuck the transit. We can get into the transit, right? What would it help you if you don't understand your chart? Right? And I'm sure that her followers are a lot of people like me that are like more advanced. And I wish I could fucking remember her name. But I want to break down before that so that you can understand how people see you. Does that make sense? How it affects you in your chart. Okay? So does somebody else want to drop a sign and I'll explain? That way, until you guys hear it a couple times, you're going to be like, that shit is starting to make sense. Okay, because I feel like we don't, somebody might tell you you're a Taurus sun and a Gemini rising, but it doesn't help you. Well, Aries sun, Libra rising. Love this one. I'm going to show you right now what the fuck that means. So this will be, we're going to go with the Aries sun, but it's a Libra rising. First off, Aries and Libra are the natural opposite signs if you see from the outside of the chart. Okay, they're sister signs. I'm going to go slow for a minute. That means that Aries already has some Libra shit. When they, when they get funky and shit, they out of whack, they might behave a little bit more like a Libra and people be confused, right? And that comes with all the opposites. I'm a Taurus. If you cross me, you might meet the Scorpio in me. You get what I'm saying? All right. So if you're an Aries sun with a Libra rising, first of all, this is not the easiest chart. And I'm going to explain why. Libra likes love, coupledom, relationships, social climbing, She wants to lead. See how Spirit does it to me? Oh my God, Spirit. She wants to lead the glamorous life. She don't need a man's touch. She wants to lead the glamorous life. And I know it ain't much. Okay? So that's Libra. But the Aries in you is going to be like, fuck listening to people's rules. I could do shit on my own. I don't need no fucking assistance. Right? So the things that you want to do on your own, and then there's an aspect that says to you, but wouldn't it be good if we were doing it with somebody else? Wouldn't it be good if we did it with the right purse? Wouldn't it be good if we had the right friends? Do you see how that it's kind of against each other, right? So deep down inside in your soul, you could be like, fuck people. Right, Libra, Sun, and Scorpio Moon, right? So let's say that you're inside yourself. You're like, I don't need no help. I went to college. I get the bag. I do all that shit, right? But when people meet you as a Libra rising, they're like, you know, that person might be a little superficial. They're very friendly and everybody loves them, but they always want to be with the right people and the right clothes and the right thing, right? So it could come off a little bit like you like to rub elbows with the right people. They might totally miss that you are there because you are Aries Sun and you get the motherfucking bag. Because what they see about you is the Libra shit. Does that make sense? Now, YouTube put up a sign. She said something. Can you repeat it, my love? You put a Scorpio something. Can you repeat it? Because I don't want to just answer questions from YouTube. I got to give them a chance. I mean, from TikTok. I got to give YouTube a chance too. Can you repeat that, hon? Oh, I think it was her. Scorpio, Cancer, Rising. Right. So you're a Scorpio Sun. Where are we at? Scorpio Sun, Cancer Rising with a Cancer Moon, Gemini Rising. Okay. Okay, so here goes the Scorpio Sun, right? So everybody could see it. Scorpio Sun. But when people meet you, they meet the Cancer in you. Emotional, very nurturing, a little bit vengeful if, you know, you get a grudge, right? But the Scorpio in you has all this, and those are two water, right? Those are two water signs, but the way they use emotion is very different. So people may see you as maternal and nurturing and that sometimes you hold a grudge, but they don't know that you will fight for that shit. Because who rules Scorpio? Mars, right? Now it's Pluto, but back in the day before Pluto was discovered, it was Mars, right? So that means the Scorpio water is a little thugged out. Okay? It's a little sexual. It's a little hidden. It's a little like insatiable, right? Dark. Right? So here they are meeting the Cancer and the maternal, and they completely miss that Scorpio is not playing about who they are. House, first house. You get what I'm saying? And actually, if Gemini is there, then your Scorpio would be in your fourth house. Okay? Let's make sure. No, it would be in your sixth house. Oh, so in your house of service. Okay? So here you are. Okay? Having to be all things to all people and kind of like, because remember that Cancer represents the mother. People are going to rely on you. But inside your Scorpio, you're going to be resentful for a lot of the things that people expect of you. Do you understand? Somebody else want to drop one? You may feel like, you know, people think that you're so nice and you're like, but I will go up top. I will go up top if you push me. Okay, they might not see that about you. Or they might think like, oh, that's just Cancer getting upset. They're going to get over it. Not Scorpio. Scorpio's not fucking playing with you. Thank you for the cheering you up, honey. You get what I'm trying to say? So you could say like, okay, I'm going to use a Sagittarius rising. I don't know what you mean, Sagittarius rising and Aquarius rising. You can't be both. Aquarius sun, Sagittarius moon. What if I don't know your rising? So the whatever on your chart, it could be listed as ascendant or it could be listed as rising. And don't be sorry, you know, it just means, because a lot of people, you get your chart and they don't explain how to read it. Stephanie, you would have to have the time of birth and then also be able to know exactly where you were born, and like Astro Cafe will generate your chart and then we could do it, okay? Cancer sun, right? And this is why I'm explaining to you guys, okay? And you might need to watch this video a couple of times, okay? But I feel like it's very possible, okay? Cancer sun and Taurus rising. Cancer sun and Sag rising, okay? So we're going to put Cancer on the outer of the chart. And Sag rising. So you are a Cancer, but what people meet in you is a Sagittarius. Okay, you like expansive conversations. You like to attain new wisdom, or they see you like that. They might feel like you're very knowledgeable, right? But where's Sagittarius in your chart? It's going to be in the first house, meaning that your Cancer is falling between the 7th and the 8th house. That's going to be relationships and taxes and money, right? So that's like 7th house is your relationships, and 8th house is taxes and other people's money. So like money that you get through a business partnership, inheritance, marriage. This also could be debt, right? So for you, you know, being that it's falling in the 7th house, it feels to me like you have to be careful that you don't let your emotions carry you away and then you make bad decisions in regards to relationships. I'm gonna give you another one, guys. We're gonna jump off this topic real quick. Wherever your rising sign is, wherever your rising sign is, or your ascendant sign, it's the same thing. Some places call it one and not the other. Sorry, I'm trying to activate these messages because they froze. Right? Right. Whatever's in your 7th house is your optimum partner. Right. So you're a Virgo sun, Cynthia, with a Scorpio rising. I'm going to do this last one, and then we're going to get into the other topic, okay? Virgo sun, Scorpio rising, 1st house, right? So you're a Virgo, but when people meet you, they meet the Scorpio side. They could feel like you're secretive, like you're sneaky, like you're very sexual, okay, private, right? That also means where's Virgo in your chart? So that would make like your Virgo fall in your 10th or 11th house, okay? So a lot of your advancement is going to be through networking. Yeah, 10th house, right? So it's going to be, the more you act like a Virgo at work, being very organized, list things. These are the things that take you forward. Do you understand? Because your Cancer, your Virgo natural placement is the 6th house, but in your chart falls in the 10th house. So that's telling you that you're embodying that energy for that purpose. Do you get it? Now let's go back to the 7th house meaning for a minute. Right, and all of those 4 planets that are in Virgo, okay, they're going to have some key to success in that area. So it may be like, let's say Saturn's in there and they're going to be like, until you get fucking organized through me, daddy, right? I'm going to make your service, Virgo rules service, difficult till you learn how to make fucking lists and get organized. You feel what I'm saying? But let's talk about the 7th house real quick. Whatever is in your 7th house in your chart is astrologically your best partner. Now, it doesn't mean, like, let's say mine's is Sagittarius. Okay? Sagittarius rules my 7th house. That means that Sagittarius is a good match for me. But it doesn't mean that it'll be a Sagittarius sun. It could be a Sagittarius moon or a Sagittarius. They would just have some aspect of Sagittarius. Now, why does that make fucking sense? Because I feel like I am a sapiosexual. Does anybody know what that means in the chat? Sapiosexual. Does anybody know what a sapiosexual is? A sapiosexual is someone who is sexually, yes. A sapiosexual is somebody who is attracted by mental stimulation. Okay? Stimulated by conversation, correct, right? And why would that fit Sagittarius? Because Sagittarius is the wisdom and expansion that comes through the ether, meaning that a Sagittarius is going to be able to talk me out my panties. You feel me? You got it? Does that make sense? Because they can meet my mental stimulation needs. Okay? So what's in your 7th house? Hey, honey, I'm giving you examples because you could be with, let's say you had my chart, right? And Sagittarius was in your 7th house, right? Or I should say, yeah, Sagittarius was in your 7th house. But let's say that that their ascendant sign is like Leo. Hey, Nelson, let's say it's Leo, right? It's not that Taurus don't like Leo. We're just like, you flashy for no reason. We stay flashy too, but a little more low key. You feel me? So the Leo in it might not attract us, but if they conversate, but eventually, so like in the beginning, we might not recognize, oh, that sun sign Leo, like, I don't think I like them. But then when you start talking to them and you start feeling that Sagittarius energy coming up off of them, you're going to be like, oh, I actually am attracted to this person. You work overnights now, Nelson? So how do you find what's in your 7th house? You need to look at your ascendant chart, right? And where's your ascendant? Okay, it's always going to be house 1. So let's say you're a Cancer ascendant. You need to count 7 signs from Cancer or 6 signs from Cancer. It'll be the 7th house. You feel me? I haven't done the elements because honestly, I got back from my trip on Saturday. No, on Sunday night. My flight got delayed. Monday, I needed to rest. Yesterday, I woke up fucking sick as a dog. So I feel like by tomorrow, I will be back doing these things. But I wanted to listen, especially already in the beginning of 2024, so much shit has happened, right? Like it feels like fast paced, right? And I feel like a lot of people are listening to actual astrologers. Again, I'm not an astrologer. And they're confused like, oh, why don't I feel that way? Why isn't it hitting me that way? Why isn't, I have Jupiter and Taurus. Why didn't money fall out of the sky? Well, what else is in that house? What else is sitting in that house? Or what house is it sitting in? Is it trying to tell you that you have to complete something for that blessing? It's like not knowing how to use it. And so I think that, when I do the chats for you guys for the next couple of weeks, it's not that it's going to be about astrology, but I want to make it to simplify. I'm trying to give you guys a way of how spirit talks to me. Okay? You're a Libra and Virgo is in your, right. Okay. Okay, so you're saying that Virgo is in your 7th house. So then that means that somebody who has either a sun Virgo, moon Virgo, right? They're going to have, it could be that your love language, how you feel love, is by how somebody does acts of service for you. Maybe you're not so much a touch person, but the fact that this person took time out to bring you lunch at work means a lot to you. Do you see what I'm saying? So that Virgo in person who their way of loving is by being very organized and responsible and showing acts of service is going to be right up your motherfucking alley. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to give you another shortcut. All right. Y'all might need some paper for this. And if you don't have paper right now, you can go back to YouTube later and you can write it down. I'm going to tell you what each of the planets or what each of the placements can mean. Okay? Your sun sign is who you are. That's who you are at the core. If you're a Taurus, you're a fucking Taurus. Okay? Your ascendant sign is who people, or your rising sign, because they can be called the same thing. That is who people meet when they meet you. You know how you go out on a date for the first time and the joke is you're meeting that person's representative? Well, the representative is your ascendant sign. Does that make sense? Are we tracking? Right. So a Libra sun is who you are, but whatever your rising is who people meet when they meet you. Okay? So now let's go to, right, your sun sign is a Taurus, just like me, Nelson, right? But my rising sign is a Taurus, right? So what does that mean? Using myself means that who you met was who the fuck I was. Take it or fucking leave it. I'm Taurus all day, every day. You understand? So being a Virgo rising, you're a Libra, but people meet Virgo. They may feel like you're a little nervous. You're always on top of things. You could be the friend that's always taking care of the plans and making sure everybody's on time. You see? Okay. All right. So your sun sign is who you are. Your rising sign is who people meet when they meet you. Your moon sign is how you feel inside. When things happen to you, how you feel about it is your moon sign. So I'm a Libra moon, right? So that means that I'm going to feel inside like a Libra. What does Libra? Libra is an air sign, means that I'm not going to say, how do I feel about this? No, I'm going to say, how do I think, air, how do I think I feel about this? Everything's going to be very mental. Okay? Very mental. Now, in my case, which is why my name is Lovelee Soul Empress, and maybe I never explained this to you guys because I'm a triple Empress. Taurus Sun, Taurus Rising, Libra Moon. 3 Venus. Right? Is it making sense? What you see is what you get. Exactly. So not only are you a sun Cancer and a moon and rising, so all day you're all Cancer, all water, all maternal, right? But you also can hold a fucking grudge. Now the next question will be, what else is in that house of Cancer? Is there anything else besides your sun, moon, and rising? Right? Because whatever that other thing is, that's going to be the tripping point or what you need to address. Right? Does that make sense? So now we're going to explain Venus. And you guys might have to listen and write down, right? Your Venus sign is how you love. Okay? So I'm an Aries Venus. Okay? What does that mean? That means that if I feel like you violated me on some love shit, I'm about to get up in your grill as an Aries. Right? Or I could feel territorial. Right? Right? I could feel territorial, like, oh, this bitch is trying to step on my toes. Let me let her know I'm here as the Aries. Don't play with me, bitch. Right? I fucking see you. You see what I'm saying? Right? We're going to let, as a Venus Aries, we're going to let our position be known. Hey, this is it's dangerous here. You get what I'm saying? Because Aries and Venus, that's not like the nicest energy. I just get a little lucky because it's in the 12th house and Venus likes that placement. But she don't really like that it's Aries because Aries wants to pop off. Okay? So that's, like, let's say if you have a Venus Pisces, you may love deeply, but not always express that. It has a hidden energy. You're not going to go out your way. If somebody, was to ghost you, you might not even ever hit them up again. Even if you stayed with a deep feeling about it. You get what I'm saying? Because Pisces is in a different way. Firecrackers, right? So you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's so important that you look at what house it's in, who's that natural ruler, and how that shit plays for you, right? So, okay, so we did sun, moon, rising, Venus. We just talked about Venus. That's how you love, right? So if you're a Sagittarius Venus, your way may be to try to have expansive conversations and show that you want to learn about them, and you'll put the time and the effort into communication. Do you see? Right? That's your form of showing love or fighting for love, right? Libra Venus, right? So if your Venus is in Libra, right, you may like pretty gifts, right? You may want a special date, may not just be a picnic in the park. You might be like, I don't like the fucking grass. I surely don't want to sit on the floor. It's fucking dirty. Couldn't you have found a nice restaurant? See, that's Libra shit. Right? Whereas that same thing, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Right? So if your Taurus was in Venus, you might say, oh my God, right? Venus is Earth, Gaia, right? Oh, you planned a picnic in the park? How fucking romantic. Do you see how the difference in the house could make all the fucking difference? Does that make sense? What's good, Jennifer LaRoe? right? So we did Venus, we did Sun, Moon, Rising. Let's do Mars. Where's your Mars? This is how you get down for the get down. This is how you go after shit when you hit opposition. This is how you fight for what is right. Okay? My Mars is in Aquarius. What does that mean? You better be prepared, because I'm going to use all my fucking intellect for the undoing. Okay? I'm going to be 10 and 12 steps ahead. I've planned it out. Okay? You better be sharp. And I got friends, because it's Aquarius, networks. I use my forces, my peoples. You get it? But mine happens to be in the 10th house, which is ruled by Capricorn. Yes?
What store do you get the apple juice
I
from?
usually get it from Dollar General. It's a bigger bottle. Okay. So let's say my Mars is in Aquarius, okay? But because of the way the chart fell, it's really in Capricorn's house, which is career. Means, right, that if somebody challenges me per se in work, I'm coming for that throat. And I'm going to use the networking power that I have. You following me? Now, the opposite of that would be that I have to be careful that I don't get into like challenges at work, right? It just happens that Mars being in Capricorn's house is the exalted. It makes him strong as fuck. You know who has that placement at the degree that I have? Muhammad Ali. Okay? So you know he was he was giving out ass whoopings and taking names later. Do you understand? These are like natural fighters. Right? Now I just heard gangster boogie. Gangster boogie. Okay? Do you follow? Okay, so we talked about where your Mars is. Who haven't we done? Mercury. Mercury is how you communicate. Okay? So let's say you communicate like a Gemini, right? You can see both sides of the argument. So can Libra. But if you have your Mercury in let's say Scorpio, your communication could be very secretive. This is how you get to what's good, Tawanda. This is how you get what's good, Tammy. This is how you figure out what that shit means for you. Okay? Right. Okay, Cancer, Mercury, I need more fire and earth, right? So you may communicate in a maternal way, in a loving way. You may try very hard to say things in a loving fashion. Whereas your Mercury was in Aries, you would say, you know, I said what the fuck I said. Bitch, I said what I said. And you wouldn't be apologetic about it. Do you feel me? Do you see how it changes how it's being used independently? This is why no two charts are the same. Okay, so there could be 100 of us Tauruses, but it's going to be very, right. So Mercury in Libra, already Libra wants to see both sides of the argument and diplomatic. So you're going to be using your Mercury in diplomatic ways. But you may also use your connections to try to climb the ladder, because Libra is kind of the socialite. Okay? So you see how for each chart is a different meaning, right? So, okay, so we just did Mercury. So let's look at Uranus. Wherever your Uranus is where change needs to happen for you to push forward. So you have Uranus in your 10th house. Then it's telling you at some point you may have an abrupt career change. You may lose a job and start a business. You may, do you see? It could be, because Uranus is like change through chaos. It comes in crazy, but it puts you in a better place. Do you see? You understand what I'm saying? Right? So wherever Uranus is, there's going to be some dramatic shit that happens to you in that area over the span of your life. How you use that energy will be to your benefit if you can understand. Like, oh, rather than looking at it, I got fired. I've been waiting to start a business. Maybe now's the time. Good afternoon, Iris. Do you understand? So there's ways to understand how each planet, what they're affecting in your chart. Okay, so we did Uranus. Let's see who else we didn't do. Neptune. Neptune is the hidden. Okay, Neptune is things we can't see, things we don't want to see, secrets that are held from us. Right. So Uranus in Capricorn, right? Change in careers, but it's in the 11th house, right? So meaning that, you know, it's through networking, right? So there may be a change that somebody puts you on and they say, hey, you know what? I heard you was looking for a job. My job is hiring right now. Right? And that shit could push you forward. Right? So if it's in Scorpio in your first house, there's going to be some secretive things, right? That maybe you didn't see coming, but when they do, maybe you shouldn't reveal them and you should use them to your best ability to push you forward. Right. Cap Neptune in the 5th house is going to be with your dating. Dating is 5th house, siblings and children. Okay. So that means it's going to be something that is going to change in that aspect. But on the other side of that, there's an ability to use that energy to push you forward. Right? Gonna give an example. You go through a fucked up breakup. Right? And your Uranus is in the 5th house, right? Spirit is saying to you, write a book about it. Tell the story of what happened in your dating life. That could be the change you need to. Do you get it? All right. Or maybe you start a group, right? Talking about how toxic relationships and dating, right? And you're going to get other people to come in there. That could be the start of some blessing for you. Okay. So we did Neptune. Who else didn't we do? Pluto. Death and transformation. Right? It can also rule taxes and other people's money, right? So death and transformation. Wherever Pluto in your chart, there's going to be a rebirth in that area for you within your lifetime. Do you understand? There will be a death and transformation in that area in your life, in your lifetime. Now, it could be an actual physical death, or it could be more like, you know, let's say that was in the house of Leo, which is relationships, right? Then after a relationship died, you transformed and rebirthed yourself. You became a whole new individual, but you needed that experience to become that new individual. Is all of this making sense? Okay. I did the moon. I did Mercury. I think I did them all now. Saturn. Saturn is the restriction or the discipline that you are going to meet in this lifetime and what you need to complete to get the blessings. That is going to be the natural place where Saturn is pushing back, telling you, but did you X, Y, and Z, right? In mine, it's in the first house. Did you work on yourself enough to be rewarded for what you're asking for? If it was in the second house, did you work on your finances enough to have the structure to gain what you're requesting? In the third house, it would be, have you resolved the family issues that you may have, right? Or sibling issues or communication issues that you may have to be able to create what it is you're trying to create or communicate, right? In the fourth house, is there, because the fourth house could mean the mother or the parent who raised the child, right? So it could be like, what is your relationship with your primary caregiver, and how is that affected? How has that affected you? Right? Have you dealt with that? Because if you're having still problems in your adult relationships, you need to go back, Saturn in the fourth house, and deal with your childhood and your inner child to be able to have a successful relationship. Are you getting what I'm laying down, guys? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Okay, so when you hear an astrologer say, oh, Geminis are going to be mad lucky this year, that may be factual, but your Gemini may be in an uncomfortable position where there's something that you have to complete before you can get that blessing. So what does it matter what, good morning, what does it matter what they're telling you if you can't understand what you have to complete first? You see? So Saturn in your fourth house is definitely talking about, you know, like inner child work, mother work, or if you were raised by your father solely, then that relationship, you know. Are you following what I'm saying? Saturn, I don't give a fuck what house it's in. Saturn's telling you about the difficulties you need to deal with to achieve what you want. Okay, so I think I did all the 12 signs. Or I should say the planets. I wanted to give you guys like a better understanding of why charts sound so confusing. Because you have to understand that there's a natural ruler, and then it's where your chart fell and how that affects you. Okay, now for my TikTokers, remember this is up on my YouTube channel. Okay, you guys should subscribe over there, because any of the lives that are done over here are live over there, so that you guys can rewind and be able to come back and look at the information if you need it. But I'm saying this because I want you guys to understand, not to get so caught up on the actual transits that are happening right now, and more so try to have a better understanding of how it affects your chart. How's it affecting your chart? And that's going to help you greatly. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it there for today. Okay, I'm going to go take some medicine and get my whole life together. And we will be back at the signs tomorrow. Okay, I just needed to get my whole life together. All right, so I will. Thank you. I just wanted to give you guys some information. and you know, we could talk about this. I have no problem. But because it won't be posted on TikTok, if you have questions that you would like more thing about, go comment on the YouTube video because I'll see those there. All right. So I just want to say thank you to you guys for spending a little time with me. All right. I'm wishing you all light and love and blessings on blessings. Bye, guys.